Hello and welcome or welcome back to the Import Export Hub channel, everybody. Bogdan here, your biased host for the next 10 minutes or so. Thanks for joining in, by the way. I hope you are doing great. And guys, without anything else to add here, let's dive into today's topic, in which I will cover Spain's import and export dynamics for 2023, covering basically the top 10 negative and positive absolute changes relative to Spain's import export partners at the country level, and afterwards I'll cover the same changes but at an HS4 level to have an overview, if you want, of how the actual segments of Spain's economy are evolving. So first things first here, Spain's top 10 absolute positive changes relative to its trading partners for the export flow included Germany, who had an increase of almost $5 billion relative to 2022. The exports towards Italy registered the second largest absolute positive change of roughly $3.7 billion, with a good positive compound annual growth rate for these last 5 years at 7.24%, and the podium is completed by France, whose imports from Spain gained some $3.2 billion relative to 2022, or 5.81%. And guys, just to be sure that I am understood here, in this video I'm covering the year-on-year dynamics. So this top 10 is based on the largest absolute changes, both positive and negative, so not the overall values. On the fourth spot, we see Turkey with a positive change of roughly $2.3 billion, which is more or less on the same page with both Portugal and United Kingdom, while Panama, Poland, Spain, which are re-imports actually, and then Romania, make up for the rest for these top 10 absolute positive changes, which gives us an idea, a rough idea about how Spain's exports are heading. And for me, at least, traditional partners like, I know, Germany, Italy, Portugal, or France are reinforcing their status in what concerns their trade relations with Spain, while Poland, Romania, and Turkey are emerging as new growth poles in Spain's foreign trade, with very, very good compound annual growth rate for all three countries, even though, let's face it, in terms of absolute values, these are not that high. So these were the top 10 absolute positive changes, and now I'll take a look at the bottom 10. And here the largest absolute negative change was registered in relation with Europe, not elsewhere specified. And here we are talking most probably about commodity related exports towards Spanish territories like Ceuta and Melilla in Northern Africa, or I don't know, the Canary Islands. And then we have the exports towards Belgium, who shrunk with some $8.5 billion. And on the third spot, we see the Netherlands, whose imports from Spain contracted with some $1.8 billion. Gibraltar here, which is a close neighbor of Spain, but outside the EU scope, came forth with some $1.1 billion contraction. And then we have areas not elsewhere specified, an anonymization tool, if you want, for commodity related exports mostly. Algeria also saw contraction, some $711 million, and the top 10 list goes on with, I don't know, the Russian Federation, Japan, Colombia, and Saudi Arabia. This last one registering a $331 million contraction. And guys, if I were to pick one trade partner from this top 10 list who is on a downward trend and in need for some renewed attention, this would be Algeria. as it lost some 90% in value in just 5 years. So from $3.26 billion in 2019 to just $358 million in 2023. And for sure, the trade war between Algeria and Spain took its toll. And just a little bit of context here. In July, if I remember, 2022, Algeria withdrew its ambassador from Madrid following Spain's endorsement of Morocco. And this rift in relations between these two countries, of course, has repercussions as well on their bilateral trade relations. Anyways, moving now to Spain's imports. On the positive side, guys, we have Germany, the Netherlands, and France, whose exports exploded in 2023. And we see almost $14 billion for Germany, $11.1 billion for the Netherlands, and $5.6 billion for France. So we're talking more or less about $30 billion cumulatively for these three particular countries. While the top 10 list goes on with countries like, I don't know, Italy, Portugal, or Poland, and ends here with Ukraine, which is the only non-EU country in this top 10 list, who saw its exports towards Spain increased with some $690 million. Most probably, we are talking about commodity-related exports. As for the largest drops in Spain's imports, well, we have Europe, not elsewhere specified, with some $23.6 billion. China follows with $12.5 billion, and on the third spot we have the US with $8.9 billion contraction, and the list goes on with the Russian Federation, Nigeria, or Iraq, and ends here with Brazil, who in 2023 registered a $1.6 billion contraction in its exports towards Spain. Even though from a compound annual growth rate point of view, the figure is a double-digit positive one, 13.15% to be precise. So guys, these were the dynamics, both positive and negative, relative to Spain's trading partners. And now I will take the top 10 headings at an HS4 level in order to see the dynamics relative to the class of products as well. And on the positive side, for the export flow, we have heading 8703. Motor cars with $8.56 billion expansion relative to 2022. On the second spot, we have another vehicle-related heading. This time we are talking about vehicles for the transport of goods. So heading 8704, who saw a $2.6 billion increase. As for the third spot on the podium, let's say we have heading 2933, so heterocyclic compounds, which are basically organic chemicals used in the pharma industry and agrochemicals, among others, with a $2.4 billion increase and an impressive compound annual growth rate of 45.4% for the last 5 years, which, if you ask me, is quite impressive. Now, other headings that saw their exports increase and made it to this top 10 list are medicines, electrical transformers, or turbojets and other gas turbines. This last one managing a $809 million expansion relative to 2022 and an impressive double-digit compound annual growth rate. Moving now, guys, to the top 10 performers, but on the contraction side, we see heading 9999 who suffered the most, and we have some $10.8 billion contraction. Heading 3002 followed with $8.2 billion contraction, and on the third spot we have petroleum oils with $4 billion contraction, and the list goes on with electrical energy powered aircraft, so heading 8802 with almost $879 million contraction, and ends here with bars, rods, and profiles of aluminium, so heading 7604, who had some $535 million contraction. Jumping now to the import flow, here we see the headings which are related to motor cars, which were the top two performers in this case, and in what concerns the absolute positive change, of course. And we have a lot of intra-chapter trading for Spain, and if you remember, these two particular headings were also the largest absolute positive ones for the export flow. Then we have insulated wires with or parts and accessories for tractors, and ends with electric accumulators, who saw a $482 million increase in 2023 relative to the previous year, showing an impressive 34.47% compound annual growth rate. And for sure, this heading is positively correlated with Spain's automotive industry, like, I don't know, headings 8703 and 8704, for example. Now, on the negative side, guys, petroleum gas and petroleum oils had the largest absolute contractions, some $12.4 billion for the former and some $10.5 billion for the latter. It's understandable. Then we have the covert heading 9999, who had $7.6 billion contraction. And the list goes on with, I don't know, commodity related products, mostly electrical energy, coal, biodiesel, or maize. The only three headings not being commodity related being human blood, so heading 3002, aircrafts is the second one, and then semiconductor devices, so heading 8541 is the last one, who suffered a contraction of $811 million, but still showing a double-digit compound annual growth rate of 16.15%. And guys, with this being covered as well, these were Spain's import-export dynamics for 2023. Thanks for watching. I hope you've liked it. Don't forget to hit those small vanity buttons below this video, and as usual, until next time, keep your business safe. Thanks.